Hello, everyone. Iain MacMillan here from BetSided. Today, I am joined by a very special guest, Rex Ryan, former head coach of the New York Jets, the Buffalo Bills, an analyst with ESPN. Coach, I'm going to start off. We're going to get to football. We're going to get to your partnership with Dr. Scholl, but I'm actually going to ask you a hockey question off the start because a lot of people might not know this, but you spent some time as a kid living in Toronto. You would admit it being a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. I am Canadian. I am a diehard Maple Leafs fan. I just need to check in because we've seen you at other rinks, other arenas, wearing jerseys of other NHL teams. Please tell me you are still a Maple Leafs fan at heart.
Oh, no, 100% I'm a Maple Leafs fan. But, the thing is, I'll always support the local team, especially when I was coaching.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So, and it was funny because in New York, man, you got the Islanders, you got the Rangers,
yes,
and you got New Jersey. So I've had like three of them, and so people would kill. You can't do that. I go, I can do what I want, dude. I said, I'm going to say that. Hey, I'm actually a Maple Leaf fan, but it's it. But the biggest party of all time will be when the Leafs finally win the cup. Like, oh my God, is that going to be like the greatest party ever? But I look at it. I mean, I grew up. Daryl Sittler, remember when he scored? He had the 10 points in the one game. That goalie, by the way, for Boston played one game in his NHL career. Right. He gave up 10 points to Daryl Sittler, but Lanny McDonald, so we all those guys. But I mean, I go way back to the Leafs, and man, we used to. My twin brother and I had a morning paper out and an afternoon paper out. And we take all our money and we go to those Leaf games and things. So I grew up, we were sitting, and these fans don't know it, but you had like the golds, the reds, blues, and then you'd have like the gray section.
Yeah.
And the gray section is like $2 a game. Yeah. We'd sit in those gray section, and try to sneak our way down to wherever. But man, Toronto is a great place to watch hockey. And I just keep, they had the Lightning beat this year, man. They're up 2 games. Come on, close it out for God, for goodness sakes. But they're close, man. They're absolutely close. So hopefully this will be the year they get through.
Yeah, I'll take some of the blame myself. I bought myself a victory cigar and a victory bottle of champagne before Game 6 against the Lightning, and then they lost 2 straight. So good to hear. I live in New York now. I will definitely be in Toronto when they win the Cup. So maybe I'll see you on the streets of Toronto when we're partying and finally celebrating Maple Leafs Stanley Cup. But let's switch now to football. Speaking about teams that you're cheering for, you've coached a few teams in the NFL, obviously. The Jets, the Bills, defensive coordinator, assistant coach for the Ravens back in the day. Which team do you cheer for now, or do you just kind of cheer for all three?
I cheer for the Detroit Lions.
Oh.
And the reason I do is my son's coaching there. He's been coaching the NFL now for 6 seasons. So that season, I cheer for the Raiders because my brother's there. But other than that, it's I love the Jets. The Jets treated me great for the 6 years I was a head coach there. I love Woody Johnson, the owner, and in that fan base. I connected with that fan base, and I absolutely love the Jets. And I can say the same thing about Baltimore. I was an assistant coach there for 10 years. So those are the two that really I identify with. I love, the Buffalo fan base. I was only there for 2 years, and they got fired, for being 500 or something. But damn, I wish I would have had Josh Allen. But either way, that's a great fan base too. So those 3 teams I still cheer for.
Yeah, you mentioned the Bills. Now, we are a sports betting website. That's what we talk about. I'm sure you're probably aware of this. The Bills are by far the betting favorite to win the Super Bowl this year. So you did spend a couple of years there. Would you, or maybe you have already, would you place a bet on the Bills to win the Super Bowl? Do you think this is their year? We were talking about the Maple Leafs earlier, a fan base that's desperate for a Stanley Cup. I think the Bills fan base is pretty desperate for a Super Bowl at this point. They've had their fair share of bad luck throughout the years.
No, I think this team is absolutely loaded. And to win, I remember Bill Walsh was a mentor of mine. And everybody's like, he was? I'm like, yeah, but your offense stunk. Yeah, well, I never had Joe Montana or whatever.
Right.
But Bill Walsh told me this. He goes, number one, you need to have 11 good players on defense, and you got to be able to rush the passer in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And for people who might not know, Bill Walsh had 10 defensive linemen up on game day. 10. where there was back in those days, there might be 5 or 6 up max. So he recognized that we need to be fresh and able to rush the passer, and we better have depth in our defensive line. Look at this Buffalo Bill team. They're built like the old San Francisco 49ers, and that's kind of who they remind me of. Now, obviously, the quarterback's a different cat,
right?
But he's absolutely terrific. And so I don't see anybody beating the Buffalo Bills this year. I don't see it. They've done an amazing job of taking the weakness of their team, the ability to rush the passer in the fourth quarter. That's now a strength. They had trouble stopping the run, so they bring in like 3 mammoth defensive tackles to handle that. This team they're doing everything the right way. As long as they stay healthy, I don't see anybody beating them.
Now, the Bills obviously the favorites, but last year, we saw the Cincinnati Bengals come out of nowhere, make a Super Bowl run. So if someone's out there looking to place a bet on a dark horse this year, a team that could potentially be the 2022 version of last year's Bengals, are there any of those types of teams that you have in mind?
Well, I think the first one that jumps out to you is the Eagles. And the reason I say the Eagles is the team, your number one team that you're worried about in your own division is the Dallas Cowboys. They just lost their quarterback for 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
So that's going to give you a leg up there. But I also like the way that team's built. Look, they make the trade for A.J. Brown. Well, look at the difference he already had week 1 on that football team. But him, Smith at wideout, like now you have 2 really good superstar wideouts that you can go to. And by the way, they led the league in rushing last year. And this year they ran for over 200 yards in week 1. So I think their offense is built to play in December and January when you need to play and be at your best. And then I think defensively, they need to get a little better defensively, but I think they would be my dark horse if I was going to pick a dark horse to compete for a Super Bowl.
Now, I do want to talk about your coaching career a little bit, specifically just staying on the topic of betting. I know betting has kind of exploded the past couple of years, I'm sure you're aware of, but back in the day when you were head coach, were you ever at least aware of what a point spread would be for the game? Like, would you look at the point spread and be like, listen, these guys have us as like 7.5 point underdogs. What the hell are they doing? Was that anywhere in your mind at all when you were coaching?
No, I tell you what, and that's what I would tell bettors out there, that as a coach, your job is to try to win the game by 1 point.
Right.
And so you're not thinking about, hey, I'm going to try to win a game I got to cover this, so we need to win by 8 points or whatever. You don't think anything at all about it. You're just trying to win the game, and that's it. That's what I'll tell those guys. But not one time in my career did I know, did I look for the point spread. I might have known it.
Right.
Like for your example on, I forget, I think we were like 16-point underdogs one time. I was in Baltimore. We played the Patriots when they were undefeated that year. And I'm like, man, this team might not even score 16 points. I remember telling my team that, So, but that's the only thing. And as a coach, you're completely out of that stuff.
Now we've talked about the Bills. You mentioned obviously you're the coach of the Jets for the while. They don't meet this season until week 11, I believe it is. So pretty far along. A lot can happen between now and then. If you were to bet on a point spread or pick point spread right now between those two teams, because obviously other ends of the spectrum in terms of where they're at in terms of playoff hopes and Super Bowl hopes, what would you set the point spread at right now between the Bills and the Jets?
Oh, I have no idea on that stuff, but I mean, you got to be like a touchdown favorite probably for Buffalo right now. I think the Jets are way better than people think. I think their defense is a zillion times better than they were last year, which is not hard to say. They're dead last in the NFL in points and yards last year, but I think their defense is a lot better. And when they get the young quarterback back, it's going to be interesting to see, like, take what he does best, man. Don't just leave him in the pocket to be a pocket quarterback. Let this guy improvise, move the pocket for him, do different things. I think if they do that, I think this team can be competitive.
Now, one of the things I love about you is the stories that you've told with you and your twin brother, Rob, that you mentioned. Back in the day when you were growing up, obviously, and this happens with brothers, you get in fights, you get in wrestling matches. Today, the two of you got in a wrestling match. Who's the betting favorite?
Well, see, I would always say me because, man, I back in the day I was a tough dude, but And we did have a fight one time, and he ended up with a broken nose and a broken ankle. But either way, it's he's bigger than me now. He was always a smaller twin, so he's probably got the weight advantage right now. I'm coming off a shoulder surgery, so I probably can't whip anybody right now. So he might have a better chance, I think.
All right, now let's get down to brass tacks here, Coach. I think it's fair to say you are a noted foot enthusiast. Is that correct?
I would call myself a foot expert. If we're really being truthful here, I'm a foot expert. Expert. I'm a football expert and a foot expert. Those are the two things. But I will say this: it's funny when Dr. Scholl called about me doing this partnership with him. I thought they were just busting my stones. I'm like, right. Yeah, right, yeah, sure. No way in the heck am I doing this stuff. And then it's like, no, man. Like, we need a voice that has been in a locker room that knows how prevalent athlete's foot is, and we have a cure for it right now. So, and I'm like, well, send me the product. And they did. And I'm like, damn, this stuff works unbelievable. And so I'm like, hell yeah, I'll do it. And I know what it comes with. I mean, whatever. I'm going to be known as the foot coach, whatever. Fine, that's cool. I've been known as a lot worse, but I'm that guy. Yes, I'm the coach with a foot fetish or whatever. That's cool. I own it. I'm sure I'm the only person with one, but either way, that's who I am. I don't care. But it is funny when they did send those products. Oh man, it was like Dr. Scholl's is the best of the best when it comes to foot care. And when you look at this, they want to have they want their athletes to have like the ultimate athlete's foot without suffering from athlete's foot. So, the products they got now, this new spray and these wipes that they got, it's actually clinically proven to be successful, to work. And if you can prevent athlete's foot, anybody that's ever had it knows how brutal it is, man. Yeah, I mean, the burning, the itching, all that, you feel like crap. And so if we can prevent it in a locker room, especially, and then just with the weekend athletes, so to speak, why not send out that message? So that's what I'm doing. I'm letting them know. I'll be shocked if every locker room in the country, once they've tried this product, isn't stacked with all this, Dr. Scholl's foot care. I mean, that's how huge it is. I did that Amazing Race. Okay. And, because the guy's going to use the spray. Ain't nobody going to use foot wipes. You know what I mean? So I'm like, nobody's going to use these. I went on the road and I used the foot wipes. I'm like, this thing's easy as hell to use. Like, these are great. And, because back then they don't allow you, when you're traveling, you can't use the spray, right? You can't take it with you. So I use these white things, man, they work great. And it was, so it's a great product. It's funny as hell, that they chose me to do this thing because, but at the same time, I have been in those locker rooms. I know there's a need for this product. And so I'm like, yeah, let's go for it.
I absolutely love that they chose you. And I love that you decided to go along with it. You leaned into it. That's what you got to do. I think it's amazing. So we'll finish off with this. Give us, for athletes and for anyone else there, one tip that you can give people to take care of their feet. And maybe that would have helped the NFL kickers this past week, because I don't know if it's something going on with their feet or what, because the kickers were brutal this past week. So give us folks out there.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Bad. Dude, you got one job to do, like kick the ball through the uprights. But really, I'll give you two. The first one's obvious. Use, Dr. Scholl's foot product. Use the new athlete's foot prevention products that they have. Comes in a spray or wipe. And trust me, you'll thank me later. But the other thing would be like use shower shoes, man. Like put those things on after practice, whatever. And I think those two things right there eliminate the problem, and you move on. Number one thing, buy that Dr. Scholl's product, and like I say, you'll thank me later.
Yeah, I certainly learned that lesson pretty young, playing sports in the locker room. Got to wear something in the showers.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man.
All right, Coach, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Take care. And like I said, maybe I'll meet you on the streets of Toronto when the Maple Leafs finally win a cup.
Go Leafs.